Good Friday morning, Northstate. Preston, Donion here, breaking down what we saw yesterday and what's expected for Friday, another active weather day across the Northstate, where we expect those thunderstorms to pop up, all in the same places as yesterday and maybe in a little bit of a different pattern. So let's first take a look at what you saw out of that Thursday action. It fired up just as expected, right? Those early afternoon hours, the first lightning strikes are on the Nevada side of the border, and then maybe into Lassen, Modoc, and far eastern Siskiyou County. And then as we headed later into the day, you started to see that coverage shift a little bit. Lassen County's really seeing some. Plumas County got a little action, and that continued a little later on into the afternoon and evening. 4 or 5 o'clock, there was that severe thunderstorm warning that I saw near Lake Almanor. So that was one of several severe thunderstorm warnings, several of which actually happened in Siskiyou County alone, right? And you can kind of tell that that was there north of Boerne. We did see that in this kind of 5 o'clock window, right? This group of lightning right here was related to that severe thunderstorm. We saw another couple fire up out there. There was some pretty impressive heavy rain and lightning over Wairika yesterday evening, all this going on, and then we saw that action shift a little further south. And so as we hit that 8 o'clock window, look at that, just west of I-5, just west of Redding proper, out towards French Gulch, Whiskeytown Lake, Happy Valley, Olinda, those areas, all very, very significant lightning show, and that was incredible, right around sunset. So the pictures are amazing. Keep sending those to chime in. We love seeing what you shot out there. But that was kind of the unexpected element of yesterday. We ended up with just enough moisture in the lower elevations to squeeze out some pretty good thunderstorm activity. And then things kind of fizzled out overnight. You saw a couple little lightning strikes over Yuba County after dark, and then we kind of wound things down before actually a couple lightning strikes in Humboldt County early this morning. So that's the setup over the past 24 hours or so. We'll take you to that red flag warning for today, and you'll see that it's pretty similar to the area that was under that coverage on Thursday, right? Much of Modoc, Siskiyou, and Trinity counties in that category, and then a small sliver of Mendocino, Humboldt, Lake counties in that ballpark as well, where we're concerned about fire danger as a result of these thunderstorms, right? New fire starts and rapid fire spread, because obviously you know that lightning can start new fires. But in that setting of a thunderstorm, you can get really gusty outflow winds, right? And so that's going out in all directions out from the base of the thunderstorm, and that can be 40 to 60 miles an hour, and that can really help accelerate new fire starts. And of course, what we saw at the beginning of July and what we saw a little bit of yesterday, a lot of these fires ends up happening in really remote locations, right? Lightning strikes can happen anywhere, and so it's a lot more inaccessible than maybe fires that happen from human-caused elements in most cases. So that's why we're concerned about that red flag warning out there. Your thunderstorm outlook for Friday highlights a ton of the region, right? You could even see some activity down into Butte and Glenn counties. I think the main focus should still be over the higher terrain and then Shasta County if you were going to pick a spot in the valley to see things happen. But I've put those icons in kind of my areas to watch most closely. A lot of the models really liking this stretch of 299 between Boerne and Alturas, so kind of towards the Lookout, Fall River Mills, that area. That could be an area of concern. Of course, Siskiyou County is one of those spots where we get a ton of development along I-5 and US 97, so that's an area to watch today. And then I think tonight we are in for another show in Redding, in Anderson, those areas just off to the west. You're going to see some thunderstorm development, and of course this also includes Trinity County, where I think today will be more of a full day of thunderstorm action, whereas yesterday took until a little later on into the afternoon, evening before those first cells showed up. So that's your Friday. Let's take a quick look at Saturday to show you that, hey, there are still some thunderstorm chances out there, but these are going to be mostly isolated to the higher elevations, and I really do think places like Redding, Red Bluff, and Chico should dodge any of that action overhead this time around. So Friday's very active. Saturday's when we start to ease out of it, and by Sunday you're pretty much wrapped up. Now, this is that fire weather outlook that yesterday had areas of the Northstate under that scattered dry thunderstorms category, which is the highest level of concern for dry thunderstorms, and that's why we called for that weather alert day. Today's still a day where you want to be careful, want to be watchful, make sure you're making smart decisions. But I didn't think it met the threshold for a weather alert day. We want to make sure we're reserving that for the real serious situations so that the word doesn't lose its meaning. So today, still some areas of concern for maybe some dry lightning, right? That really does show up along the Nevada border in portions of Modoc, Lassen, Plumas, Sierra, Nevada counties. So you could see some dry lightning and even beyond that area in brown. I think that's a possibility across a lot of the region. but we're not seeing as high of concerns because we're coming off of yesterday that brought a ton of moisture into the lower levels of the atmosphere, right? All those thunderstorms dropped a bunch of rain. We're a little bit muggier this morning and will be that way throughout the day, and your surface humidity values are all going to be better than they would be under yesterday's circumstances, and certainly a whole lot better than they normally are this time of year. You think about the valley floor, we see humidity values regularly around 10% in those hottest hours of the day in June, July, August. Well, we're expecting to be closer to 30% this afternoon, and so it might feel a little soupy out there, but that's not a bad thing because that humidity can help make sure that that rain actually reaches the surface. So that's the story there. Let's take a look at it in two different models of precision cast on what could happen today. You are seeing those thunderstorms firing up not just along the Nevada border first. Maybe northern Trinity County gets things started. We had a little later on in the afternoon, and that activity really starts to pick up out there, right? You need that heating of the sun, that uneven heating of the land surface, and so that happens as we get a little later on into the day. That's when things fire off out there. And you really see places like Susanville, Chester, right there in that ballpark for some strong cell development. Modoc County right there as well along the Warner Mountains. You can see some pretty good action, and you can see Trinity and Shasta counties right there along that county line, maybe some impressive development closer to 5, 6 p.m. tonight. And even a place like Redding might see a couple light showers as that thunderstorm activity builds through in that dinner window, 5 to 9 p.m., kind of your prime time to watch in that area. So something to keep in mind, and I do want to highlight, again, the model's really liking this kind of triple point between Siskiyou, Modoc, and Shasta counties. So again, along 299 might be a messy evening out there, and if you're in Bernie, Fall River Mills, Castle, those areas, you got to make sure you're just watching for maybe some strong thunderstorm potential. Head indoors when that thunder roars, especially if you get that severe thunderstorm warning. Not a time to mess around. You want to make sure you are inside of a building, better than being out in a car or an outside shed, something like that. A good sturdy building, especially when you can get those gusty winds. You don't want to be out and about in that at all. As we roll through the night, you'll see cloud cover again into your early Saturday, much like we saw here on Friday, and then Saturday afternoon, another round of thunderstorms out there. Much more limited than we're seeing on Friday and certainly Thursday as well, but still a couple thunderstorms, mainly over the northeast corner of the state. And then we head into Sunday and we get just a couple of those last little thunderstorms popping up. That was model 1. That was the high resolution rapid refresh. I really like that one. That would be my emphasis. If you're going to look at one of these two, I think that's the one you should lean into, but we got to cover our bases. We never know exactly what Mother Nature is going to throw at us, so let's see what the possibilities look like now looking at our IBM model. This one shows, that cloud cover clearing throughout the valley, getting nice and sunny into your lunchtime window, and then we head into the afternoon and fire off those thunderstorms all around the valley in that kind of upside down U shape. And so you do see Siskiyou, Modoc, Glass, and Trinity counties all lighten up by 4 o'clock, and then we could see some of that thunderstorm activity closer to Redding and the city of Shasta Lake, but it doesn't emphasize much development there that I think is probably a little bit underrepresenting the possibilities. I think we're going to see some pretty good action in that kind of area. And then again, look at that, right? Between Bernie and Alturas, strong cell development. So definitely a good indicator that things could be pretty active out there. And just for fun, we'll fly you through your Saturday and Sunday, right? Couple thunderstorms out there into your Saturday afternoon, mainly over the mountains, not seeing that chance in the valley as much. And then of course into Sunday, we really isolate those thunderstorm chances to just really Siskiyou and Trinity counties before we finally wind things down into a warmer, calmer Monday. That's the breakdown for today. I hope you have a fantastic weekend where we'll be locking in on a little bit of warmer temperatures as we head into that early next week stretch, like I mentioned, but still most places near or slightly below normal at those hottest days, Monday, Tuesday. A place like Redding, not even seeing 100 degrees in the next 10 days, right here in the heart of summer. So we'll take what we can get, just hopefully make it through these next couple thunderstorm days without any significant fires. Stay safe out there and have a fantastic weekend.